All right. Welcome to the Ravit Show. We have a very special guest today. It's none other than Aishwarya Srinivasan. She is the data. She's a data scientist at Google Cloud, and today we'll be talking a lot around her journey. We'll be discussing about how to break into data science, trends in data science and AI, also Google Cloud, and much more. So feel free to have your questions coming, guys. Also, let me know if you guys can see me live on anywhere, because today we've been seeing a lot of issues with LinkedIn, YouTube, and all the streaming stuff. But I'm sure you guys can see me. So feel free to let me know where you're joining from. And also, we are giving away one annual subscription of 365 Data Science. What you need to do is just type in hashtag 365 Data Science in the chat, and we will be picking a winner towards the end of the show. To let you guys know what I'm talking about is this. Just type in hashtag 365 Data Science, and we'll be picking up the winners. Awesome. I don't know if we are live, so I'm just checking quickly because, all right, yes, we are live. Good to go. All right. So just wanted to let you guys know a little about Aishwarya. Aishwarya is working as a data scientist, as I mentioned, in Google Cloud AI system team to build machine learning solutions for customer use cases, leveraging core Google products, including TensorFlow, Dataflow, and AI platform. Aishwarya was working as an AI and ML innovation leader at IBM Data and AI, where she was working cross-functionally with the product team, data science team, and sales to research AI use cases for clients by conducting discovery workshops and building assets to showcase the business value of the technology. So feel free to ask questions around her journey. It's a very fantastic journey, to be honest, because I have learned a lot about Aishwarya through many articles about I guess more than 11 internships that the recent article said. So would love to obviously learn more about that as well. But without any further ado, let's have our guest here. Hey Aishwarya, welcome to the Ravit Show.
Hi, Ravit. It was great being here with you.
Awesome. I was just letting folks know about your journey, just giving them a bit of the background. And good to see that we are live and the live stream kind of works well. Today, we were kind of facing a lot of issues, but just wanted to let the audience know. And also, quickly for everyone who are joining, I hope you guys have already registered for the data kit that I'm wearing. It's for Kate, and she always hosts amazing uh, conferences, shows, and whatnot for the community. I've mentioned the link in the chat and also in the post itself, so you can go out and register for it. It's free. So a great conference that will be happening. But coming back to you, Aishwarya, obviously would love to obviously know about your journey from where you started. I've seen so many articles. The recent article with Times spoke about your internship. I would definitely love to get into that as well. But
Yeah.
to start with, why not introduce yourself, Aishwarya?
Yeah, sure. I think you have done a great job, like introducing what I am doing right now. So, apart from my career, I would want people to know the other side of me, as in like what do I
Okay.
do outside of my work. So, I am very interested in the field of data science. So, I do spend a lot of time outside of my job, in researching more about data science and machine learning use cases. So, as you would see, I write a lot on LinkedIn, mostly around the things that I read upon. And I'm also like engaging with Analytics India magazine. So, that sort of gave me an
Right.
opportunity where I'm, like coming in this disciplined routine of writing a detailed article every single month. So, that is something I'm really enjoying. And
Right.
yeah, outside of just data science, I think it's very weird to say like my life has two major chunks. One is data science as my work, and the other is working out. So I'm very cautious about my health and like fitness regime, etc. So that's the
Wow.
other thing which very like motivates me a lot. And yeah, these two things probably like define me the most, outside of which I'm very interested in hiking. I recently did the half dome climb at Yosemite Valley. So
Wow.
that was very challenging. So it was a 17-hour hike. And yeah, that's a little bit about me outside of work, what you might know.
Wow, fantastic. And that hiking thing, obviously and I think with the hectic routine that you have, I'm sure this is something that comes like a surprise. I'm sure we not all of us know, though I've been following you since a while and I've seen your website and I've learned about where you've obviously shared about your a bit of you've given a sneak peek about your personal life as well. So I know you're a you're a good health freak, so which is good, but obviously would want to also know about how did your data science journey begin, like what was the starting point, when did you realize that okay, this is the space for me?
Yeah, I mean, the story definitely like started with me not having a choice. So back
Hmm.
when I was in school, my family couldn't afford to give me like any like computer or like any gadgets. So my life was going to school and then visiting my mother's office. So my mom's office was very close to my school. So most of the afternoons I would just go to my mom's office and spend the day with her.
Hmm.
Also, the reason because I didn't have anybody else back home to take care of me. I just had both my parents who were working. So
Right.
that sort of got me very interested in just like using computers. And my mom back in 90s also, like she was very like profoundly using statistical modeling and data analytics, which is now coolly named as machine learning or like data science. So she
Right.
was doing it back then using a tool called IBM SPSS. And yeah, I remember
Right.
like when I was spending most of the time with her, she would give me here and there like different things to do. She would be like, hey, why don't you just read this ANOVA table for me, whereas I had no clue what ANOVA means, right? So that gave me a little bit of interest on like learning more about what she was doing. And I realized that that was very exciting for me. So literally the first thing that I did, I wouldn't even count that as an internship, but the first thing that I did with one of the professors in my mom's university, I did like a small boot camp sort of a thing with him, and he made me calculate regression models by hand.
Mhm.
So I was literally sitting down with papers and calculators and like building a regression model with hand. And that sort of gave me a big perspective on like how mathematic is influencing a lot of data that we're analyzing, right? So yeah, that was the start of my journey in data analytics or data science, you may call it.
Wow.
And I was very interested in computers. I was very interested in programming. I feel like the day I realized is that I was interested in mathematics and just algorithms per se. So I decided to pursue my undergrad in computer science, and yeah, that sort of like got me where I am.
Okay, this is fantastic journey, and definitely now I can relate it back, and I can circle back to your latest article with times where you did dedicate it to your mother, and you did mention, starting with your mother, that okay, you were featured in the biggest newspaper of India, which does really make sense, and now I can relate it to very well since where it's coming from, and you did share the story briefly about that, but today I get to obviously learn more about it, and very interesting, definitely. But that talking about that article, that brings me to an important point, which was around the 11 internships that the article mentioned, and how did that happen? Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, sure. So when I was doing my undergrad, right, I started it in 2013. Back then, data science was not very prevalent in India, or
Right.
like the topics. My university, my course was in computer science, and the focus was not really in machine learning. If you know what I mean, the focus was in
Right.
different subjects. Like I had networking, I had algorithm design, I had different subjects which was not really focused on machine learning.
Right.
Whereas somewhere I knew that that's what I wanted to focus on, and the only way for me to do that was reaching out to people outside of my university or like professors in my university who can help me get hands-on experience. And
Right.
while I was doing that, while I was reading research papers and like academic side of things for data science, and I did a couple of competitions in Kaggle. So what I realized is that there was a gap between how does that relate to business, right? That was something that I felt was missing. Everybody was talking about like, hey, this is how a deep learning model would work, this is how fancy it is, etc. But what I failed to understand is that how is it really going to affect a business? What could be the nuances that could occur when we are trying to implement this in production, etc. And that's where I felt that I need industrial exposure. I need to understand what kind of personas are involved when we are building such kind of a technology, and
Right.
how what are the challenges that we get, right, like in terms of data or data quality, etc. And that sort of motivated me to reach out to folks in industry and ask them if they could give me an opportunity to work with them for an internship. One after the other, I got like really interested in that, and every semester, or like every semester break, even during the semesters, I used to pursue internships.
Wow, this is like the real journey, that you've gone through, and you've done such well for yourself right now. But how was it? What was your first step when you got done with the internships? Were was the IBM your first gig, or was something before that as well?
So after completing my undergrad, I was a bit confused if I should pursue my PhD
Hmm.
or if I should be, going for a master's. It
Exactly.
was a tough decision because I was very interested in research, because it was
Hmm.
very exciting for me to, like read what's going on in like, the current world of research. But it was also a commitment, to spend another 5 years in academia, which I wasn't sure if I wanted to do. So I
Right.
chose with like going with a master's, and then thought that if I do want to go that route, I will continue my master's into a PhD. But it so happened that I was more intrigued in working on real world solutions, that
Right.
I felt that it was um, a like more steep curve for me to learn when I was implementing things rather than spending more time in academia. So again, like a personal choice, I'm not discouraging anybody to like pursue their PhD. It was just my personal choice that I felt my growth was better. It was more for my interest that I did my masters and then continued working in industry. So yeah, that's how I came to IBM.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and also it is everyone's personal journey, that you can say you might have had a different journey, and you're not suggesting someone not to go for PhD, which
Mhm.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So okay, let's take one question from the audience. I see Kate is here. Hey, Kate, we're waiting for the conference. I'm even wearing your t-shirt, so just letting you know. And for those who wish to know more about the conference, I've also mentioned it in the comments. You can actually register. It's a free conference, and love the work that Kate does. And she has a question for you, actually.
Sure.
What advice do you have for someone who that wants to add more skills to their portfolio but doesn't have a lot of time, free time? So yeah.
So that's a great question, Kate. I think that's something I have faced as well. So one of the things which I wanted to do for a long time was getting into martial arts. So I'm just giving that as an example here.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so when pandemic hit, I realized that I've always been complaining about that. Hey, I don't have enough time to do something, follow something which is off my passion, which is outside of work. And what I realized is small steps probably add up to a bigger scenario, and just spending 1 hour every day was good enough for me to spend for the next year or so and learn Krav Maga as a martial art. So that's something which I have learned, that you don't need 3 or 4 hours every single day. Even if you're able to spend 15 to 30 minutes every single day, that's good enough, because that adds up, and it's incremental progress that you're doing. So just like pull out 15 to 20 minutes time if that's what you can, and that'll definitely like aggregate together.
Okay, this is fantastic. Thanks for that question, Kate. Very nice question. I'm sure it also helps for those who want to, add more skills to their portfolio and are looking to, go to the next level. So, Aishwarya, there's another question which is coming up. Since we are talking about the initial data science journey, there's something that Aditi has to ask. What is the best approach to start a data science journey for someone who is from a finance background? Wow.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So Aditi, one of the things I would recommend is, right, for anybody to pursue their career in data science, you need to realize the ins and out of data science. It's a very big misconception that data science has only to do with like coding machine learning models, which is not true.
Right.
There is a lot of different personas. There is a lot of different roles which is involved in designing a data science or an AI solution, and you need to be aware of that. So if you are coming from a financial background, you can very well be a subject matter expert in a financial organization where they are looking to build data science models. So your help, your financial expertise is definitely important for them to connect that data science stuff with the business. So there's different kinds of roles within the data science space, and you need to figure out what is the skill set that matches for you with the role, and what is something that's of your interest. So if you're interested in statistical side of things, if you're interested in research side of things where you're working on building state of the art models, that's a different side of skill sets, right? Compared to like applied machine learning or applied data science roles, versus being a subject matter expert and helping a team drive and build an AI solution for that particular domain. So these are like different roles, and I can help you provide resources where you can, like read more about
Awesome.
these roles.
Yeah, this is fantastic, Aishwarya. Thanks for that answer, and definitely it clarifies a lot. To be honest, I come from a finance background myself. I've done my MBA, I've done my executive in investment banking, but obviously, this space is like where everyone can go in, learn a lot. That I would say, because I am today doing something, what I am passionate about, and I'm coming from a finance background, so that is definitely a great example there, Aishwarya. Thanks for that. Okay, we have tons of questions coming in, but before that I would like to take this question.
Sure.
So uh, actually it relates to something someone has asked in the audience as well, so let's go with this question. Gwyneth has a question. Where can one get easy access to real world projects which can enhance aspiring data scientists?
That's a very great question. So this is something I have personally worked on with a few of my mentees. So
Yeah,
when you do not get opportunity, let's say, to work on industrial projects, right? Let's say you are not able to secure an internship at an industrial organization, um, or the time doesn't permit, right? Like you are still in school and you don't have the opportunity to work on a full-time internship. One of the things that you can do is get involved with nonprofit organizations, and they work with a lot of governmental use cases. So one of the organization that I am currently working with is called AI for Good Foundation, and they
nice,
are specifically working on United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And they have a lot of availability, like project availabilities, which are going to literally give you the real world like experience that you're talking about. So they will have messy data. They will be trying to solve, say, like world hunger issues, and like analyze data on what kind of policies should be built, etc. So that's one of the ways that you can approach. Like you can get in touch with nonprofit organization and see what projects they're working on.
okay, this is amazing. Thanks for this information and nice question, Gwyneth. Okay. Also, the question that I wanted to ask was around the same. Which are the best places to learn data science, since there's so much out there?
Mhm.
How do folks concentrate on something in particular that you would suggest? Like, okay, if you want to narrow down in machine learning field, or if you want to narrow, someone wants to learn more about in analytics. So, what's your approach there? And is there a common approach that can be seen?
So I wouldn't say that there is a common approach for everyone,
Yeah,
because I have seen folks who, like want to specialize in natural language processing, and they're not so interested in, say, like time series kind of problems, right? So that's a very personal choice, like of something of your interest. And there are still folks who are, open to exploring different use cases, right? So they don't
true.
want to narrow down their scope to like one particular kind of model. So they keep their options open and explore different kinds of use cases. Some folks are more interested in a specific domain, such as
Right.
finance or like retail or supply chain, where they want to build these models. So that's a very subjective journey per se. So what
Right.
I can recommend is that I have curated the 22-week data science journey plan. So that will
Amazing.
give you the foundations, right? So that's something that I have put up. And do not limit yourself to just those material. If you find some alternative material which is, you know, which is more comprehensive for you, definitely like go ahead and learn from that resource. I feel like resource is not something which is unavailable right now at this point in time. Because of the internet, there's plenty of free resources that we have. All you need to do is curate a plan for yourself and stick to it. Like, do not do not go out of track. Because sometimes it happens that when you have unlimited resources, you end up getting into this infinite loop of, getting lost with that. So I would say just like have a structured plan for yourself. And I think the 22-week data science journey plan would be helpful.
Okay, this is amazing. Also, since you were talking about your mentorship sessions, and you were also mentioning about the data science courses in the roadmap that you've put. So where are these? These are on your website, the
Yes, these
Illuminate
are on my
AI.
website. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. What I'll do is I'll just share the link with our folks as well.
Mhm.
So, and do you also you have a newsletter, right,
I
Aishwarya?
don't. I
Okay.
used to, but yeah, I didn't have time to continue
Okay.
that, so
Yeah,
I don't have
exactly.
it.
No worries. So, with our audience, I'll share the link to Aishwarya's website. You can actually check out the cool stuff that she's done, and she does with the mentorship programs. Coming back to how to break into data science. So, what's what's an ideal roadmap that you would say is to break into data science or AI, Aishwarya?
So I think like this ties back to my like previous answer to Aditi,
Right.
that you have to first understand what role do you want to pursue. So data science, to be honest, like in another decade, every industry is pretty much going to be using data science. Because everything is digitized, all the data is being captured in a digital format. All the companies are running in a global fashion, so they are going to
Right.
have international data, like data from like international users. So every company is at a point going to be building data science models for themselves, and like optimizing their way of acting. So yeah, I mean, you one of the things I would say is you need to understand what is your strength and skills. So what is the skill set that is your strength, and what's your weakness, and
Right.
what is your interest. So a good career path is something that's a good amalgam of a strong skill set and a strong interest, right? So
True.
you have to see where does that overlap for you. If you are a good consultant, if you are a good program manager, if you are a researcher, then you need to find find job roles that is suiting your skill set, right? And
Right.
interest is something that can be depending on the field that you're interested in. If you're interested in healthcare, if you're interested in say finance, or there's a lot of advancements happening right now in supply chain and retail, so that's why you hear me saying those two industries a
Exactly.
lot. So yeah, those are the two things I would say you measure, like what's your skill sets and what's your interest lie in.
Wow, this is great insight, Aishwarya. Also, there's an interesting question from Harsha. Thanks, Harsha. Thanks for attending. In the quest for being an outstanding data professional, would skills-based competency building offer an edge over knowledge-based competencies building, like degree, certification, etc.? What do you think, Aishwarya?
So I am not somebody who's been an advocate for any degrees or certification.
Yeah.
I believe like learning should be happening without any kind of piece of paper that tells you that hey, you know this. There could be people who have degrees but don't have the skill set. So I feel a lot of folks who have probably not even done any degree in machine learning, right? Like I know folks who have been in the industry for 20 years and they don't have any formal degree in data science, but because
Right.
of their experience, because of this of the way that they have seen the times moving, the way they have seen industry adopting data, or like the business is changing, they have more insight and more skill than a lot of us who have a degree have. So I do not advocate for any kind of like degree or certification. So this is something a lot of people ask me, that hey, like what degree is going to help me get a job, or like what certification is going to help me get a job. Certification is just a roadmap for you to learn things in a structured manner, and that's it. Like there's no, the value of that piece of paper is not anything for me. So yeah, I would not advocate for that.
Wow, this is amazing answer to amazing question. Thanks for that question, Harsha. It obviously, I completely agree with you. I should on this that it shouldn't be just a piece of paper defining you. I have my degrees in different domain altogether, so no one can always be dependent on degrees, but maybe just upskill yourself in something
Yeah,
what you're passionate
yeah,
about, and it will help you grow in your career.
yeah.
So which makes a lot of sense. Thanks for that answer, Aishwarya. I was wanting to pick a very interesting question from Petri. So Petri is asking, what are the big things you see in data science development and future which make you take and keep you motivated and improving? Interesting.
So Petri, yes, that's a great question. So since the time I think I have started my journey in data science, things which I have realized is the trend moving from, like building state of the art models, or building fancy deep learning models, to understanding how does it impact businesses, or to understand how does it impact the society. So I would say in the past 5 to 10 years, the shift has been happening on building ethical AI systems, or like understanding the impact of short term and long term effect on the society. And that's where I feel the future development is going to be, where we have a structured, a process based approach, that helps us build ethical AI systems. And just the concept of tying data science with cybersecurity, tying data science with data privacy and with data governance, and how different countries are approaching governance of data within their own geographical location, etc. So tying these pieces back to when a machine learning model is in effect, that's what is going to be a prominent thing that we're going to see in the future.
Okay, this is fantastic. Thanks for this question, Petri. Also, wanted to learn more about, your thoughts around the current data trends in data science and AI field, and which are the areas that interest are, you know, you are actually wondering that are a great area of interest, like maybe say ML ops, data mesh, or maybe something else. But these are the maybe the buzzwords that you hear a lot right now. But what are your thoughts about it, Aishwarya?
So there's not like particular topics which I restrict myself to. So with time I have seen trends changing. With time we have seen new challenges coming, and like new
Exactly.
solutions to solve those challenges. So it's a never ending trend. And that's where I feel like upskilling yourself with time is very important, because technology which is was available like 5 years ago is not something which is prominent today. So that's again a ever changing trend. So the things that you mentioned, like a couple of things that you mentioned, right, about like data mesh, or um,
Right.
yeah. So those are some of the things which are presently under development and under research, and companies are experimenting to operationalize them. And yeah, that's just a slow process. Currently what I am interested in is like retail. That's something I have not worked so much on before. So retail sector is something which is of my interest, and I want to explore that.
Right.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's fantastic. Retail is something what are you looking at right now? So it's great. Also, there's Ashish Dubey who has an interesting question, more on the side where it's around, uh, you know, the roadmap itself. But what's the roadmap to switch from data engineering to data science? Very interesting.
So, data engineering again encompasses things like data pre-processing to some extent, and it's
Right.
more from the database side of things, right? But data science has a different set of skills, right, which is about, like, say, building models. One of the things I would really recommend people to do is, whenever you're applying for any company, right, for any
Mm,
specific role, read through the description, because every company has a different way of defining these roles. Different
right.
companies say define data scientist role in different manner. Some do not even segregate between data science and data engineering. As a data scientist, you will be working on data engineering stuff as well by default. So that's just a way how companies define the terminologies. So data science, I'm assuming that what Ashish is asking is the difference between data engineering and like building models. So
Right.
the skill set that I would say is switching from, say, like using SQL on, like, database and structuring the data, versus using the same technology, either SQL or like Python, to extract information from that data, extracting insights from that data. So one of the things I have seen the difference is that data engineering, you're not so much connected to the business outcome, whereas when
Right.
you're using data science, you have to really connect the model efficiency, or like the metric that you're measuring your model with, on how it would impact the business. So that's one of the things you would have to skill up on.
Okay, and that also ties in with solving the business problem at the same time when you are in the data science space and not the data engineering.
Yeah.
Or okay, makes
Yeah.
sense.
So when you're building any model, like I'm assuming what Ashish means by data science is like by building machine learning models.
Machine learning
So when
models,
you're
yeah.
building, like, it could not be a machine learning model as well. So like data science doesn't have to be specifically machine learning.
Yeah.
But when you're building models per se, you have to tie back how your model results look like, and
Mm.
to what the business outcome is. So that part is probably missing when you're doing data engineering, because now you're working more on extracting the data, structuring the data, like, doing merges on the tables, etc. So that at that point in time, you're not really thinking about what is the outcome of the model, or how does it tie back to the business.
Wow, I really like your approach, Aishwarya, and that's like a great explanation for a great question. Thanks for that question, Ashish. Also, wanted to quickly just remind our audience that we are giving away one annual subscription of 365 Data Science today. As kind as my sponsors are, 365 Data Science, they always go and love to educate folks. So feel free to type in hashtag 365 Data Science. Towards the end, we will do the raffle and announce the winners. All right. And yes, Ashish says, thanks for answering my question. So definitely he got what he wanted. A quick question from my side is more on the lines where wanted to, obviously discuss a little about your experience previously with IBM and now how's it going with Google. I don't want to get into the specifics, but just in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
I think the difference is from the kind of projects that I've been working
Yeah.
on. So that was again like a conscious decision that I wanted to switch the industrial projects that I was working on. And yeah, I think I'm getting to do that at Google now.
Okay. That's fantastic. Amazing. All right, very interesting question from Harsha here. Let's take this one. How would you define and distinguish distinction of data science and data product building? I think you gave a great example from data engineering to data
Mhm.
science. Now it's more on the side where data science and data product building has come in. So
Yeah, so let me just give us example of, say,
yeah,
a customer product, right? Like if we are building an app that's going to be used by users, right? So
exactly.
if we're talking about that, the difference that you're going to look at as a data scientist was probably building these models versus a product manager who's managing and, like, working on these product, is that when you're building these models, what you're looking at is how am I going to optimize a metric that I'm planning to optimize. So let's say I'm
Right.
building a recommendation system in that particular product. I want to make sure that I'm able to best recommend the products to the users. I'm able to best monitor their interest, or like their growing interest with time, and update my model, which reflects their the products that they might be interested in.
Right.
Whereas from a product approach, what you would be trying to see is how often do you have the users use this product, what's the kind of feedback the users are having on this product, what's the user experience that they are getting, and more around like what the ease of use of the product, and what's the persona the product is going to be used from, like what's the customer base, what's the revenue that's going to be generated, how do they measure the changing pattern of user behavior, etc. So that's more from a data product, or like, a product manager's perspective, versus somebody who's just focusing on building a model.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thanks for that question, Harsha. Definitely a nice one. Also wanted to shift gears a bit here in terms of, obviously we've seen that data science projects play a very important role when we get into this space. If you have great projects, it gives you a good credibility in the market as well. It also helps you to showcase. If you are applying for jobs, it helps you to showcase your projects and what you've done during your internship or even before that. So but another part of what I've heard from a lot of folks around in the data science space is that you need to create a personal branding. You need to have your own personal brand, or you need to at least showcase your projects and create something around it where the audience kind of understand what you've done.
Mhm.
And that also brings me to an important aspect, that is networking. So what are your thoughts about networking in this space, and then maybe we can jump onto personal
Yeah.
branding in this space. Yeah.
Sure. So one of the things I would like to mention about personal branding is it's not required for you to have a blog, or like have something which is that's a personal choice, right? Like you
Right.
may or may not want to have that social media presence, or like have a YouTube channel or do something around that. But I feel why networking is really important, and I'll tell you why this has been extremely helpful for my career as well. Because when
Right.
you're connecting with a lot of people, you're getting a lot of perspective. So there was this time when I was chatting, when I was preparing for this WAIC conference, and I was speaking with somebody who's coming from a psychology background, and he
Nice.
was completely against AI as a technology. And
Hmm.
initially I was wondering how could somebody be against a technology, because
Exactly.
it's something which thousands of people are working on, and we have seen proven results for how what AI can do, and we pretty much use it in day to day life. But when I was talking to this person, I got a perspective from his end that what we might be missing as technology people, that how does
Hmm.
this application affect a teenager. So
Right.
like any kind of social media which we assume that is being only used by people above a certain age or below a certain age, is not true. It is on the internet, and it can be used by anybody.
Anyone.
So
Right.
the social media company may provide a disclaimer that, hey, like we are assuming that you're at least 16 years of age or at least 18 years of age while you're using it, but that doesn't restrict anybody from using it, right?
True.
So and this person gave me a perspective on what could be the short term effects versus the long term effects. How could it affect the way a mind is working, right? Like that's how we evolve with time. So if
Exactly.
we are continuing to use a certain kind of technology, is it going to hinder any kind of mental progress? Is it going to increase mental health issues? So that was a very valid reason, and somewhere I felt that I was not thinking at all in those terms. And that after that conversation, I started thinking in that terms for each and every like project that I was working on, right? So I
Right.
feel networking sort of gives you a better perspective. It connects you with people who can be your mentor. You could be somebody's mentor. You can be in a peer mentorship group where you guys are just working together, and you're like helping each other motivate in being motivated in your career.
Very
Getting
true.
financial advice, that's also something I feel like people ignore a lot, that having financial advice is really important. It is as
Hmm.
much as a part of your life as your career or your health or anything else is. You have to be really cautious about how you are making financial decisions. So all that I feel has been a very important part of my life, and I get to learn about like just how people think. So that's something which has really helped me. Now
Right.
putting this in perspective from a career, right? So
Yeah.
when I'm working in a team of say like 10 different data scientists and like AI engineers, etc., I am only restricting myself to that team. I'm only restricting myself to, talking to my manager or like talking to my peers. But if I'm never exploring people who are working outside of my team, that's also somewhere where I'm, missing context. So I make
Important.
it a practice that, I do not restrict myself to talking to my teammates. I make it a habit to, talk to the business development folks, talk to the sales folks, talk to like product folks or like, data engineering folks, etc.
Wow.
So that has also like helped me uh, do my job better and also get opportunities.
Right. It also gives you a good perspective about different teams and what they're expecting. Like
Yeah,
when we always talk about, marketing and sales team have like a very tied in go together.
yeah,
It's like without the sales team, the marketing can't move, or
yeah,
without the marketing, it also affects the sales team at a
yeah,
level. So definitely makes a lot of sense when you say, you need to go out there and, you need to understand different departments, go out
yeah,
there, talk to them and learn about what their strategy is, because somewhere, all the departments come under a company, and which is important.
yeah.
So that's a fantastic advice. Thanks for that, Aishwarya. Also wanted to take one quick question from Shiba here.
Mhm.
um, Going by the trend of booming industry, which field domain should we concentrate on for data science? Would that be finance, commerce, etc., or maybe some other?
There is actually no right answer for this, right? Like
Yeah.
I can't really say that, oh, like, finance is going to do great in data science compared to any other field. Every field is equally pushing hard towards, building their
Right.
data science ecosystem. So there is no, like, no one field that I can point out to. Again, it has to do very much with your interests. So one of my connections, like, Ravit, you might have seen her a few times on my feed as well, Shanta Mohan. She's
Yeah.
somebody who specializes in retail, and she's been working on writing books about how AI has changed retail industry and what are the other applications of AI in retail. So that's something which is of her interest. And similarly, like, you have to understand what is that field, that interests you the most, that keeps you motivated, and based on that you should be making a career decision.
Okay, that's fantastic, and I agree. And a big fan of Shanta and her work. She's like the OG in the industry. So for the folks, if you wish to, follow her, I'll share her profile so you can go and follow her and learn more about her work. Okay, I'm just looking after this question by Savyashri.
Mhm.
Could you mention few healthcare companies that are hiring for AI? Okay,
Uh,
maybe if you want, you can connect later with Aishwarya. I think she can
yeah,
suggest a few.
yeah, sure.
Uh, yeah,
One of the good things I've realized is using the LinkedIn job portal, that I feel is the best way for you to get a curated list. So if
yeah.
you get a chance, like, I would definitely recommend you to go there.
Yeah, you can actually filter in, and you can go by the location as
Yeah,
well, even
yeah,
the nearby stuff. So LinkedIn is a great place
yeah.
to get, to explore such things. Okay, my next question is obviously around personal branding to you, Aishwarya. I know for a fact that personal branding also plays a not so important role, but it does play a little
Mhm.
important role in this field. And how do you suggest anyone to build their own brand, or maybe if they are interested to build their own company? Like you have your own conference,
Mhm.
you host the seminar, so obviously you are carrying a personal brand
Mhm.
out
Yeah.
there. So what would be your suggestion for anyone who wishes to start their own personal brand in this space?
So again, like, you have to figure out, what you find is missing right now. So there are two things, right? Like, you can either try to find out a gap and
Right.
fill in that gap, or find something which has been done in the past but you can make it, like, you can do it in a better way, right? So those are the two ways I recommend, like, you structure your thought process. So one of the things I felt was missing, um, two things actually which I felt was missing, is there was a gap between academia and industry. So folks
Right.
who were in university, like, same for me, right? Like, when I was doing my masters, at times I felt that, the courses that I'm studying really doesn't help me address the challenges which I'm going to get when I'm going to, like, work on industrial use cases. So that's one of the gaps that I found. The second was that nobody ever spoke about the problems that they face. Like, all the resources that I was reading, or all the webinars, or anything that I was looking at, would only
Right.
talk about things that worked out. People would say that, hey, I had this data, I built this model, and it worked. Nobody would ever talk about, like, how many iterations did it take them, what failed, what would not work in this scenario, and, like, how did they decide that this particular approach would work. So nobody really talked about the didn't happen things, and that's what I wanted to focus on. So one of the things I started doing is whatever I read, I used to rephrase it and rewrite it in my own words in a comprehensive manner, which I felt could be understood by anybody who's not an expert in the field. And that's one thing. And the other thing is I started this session series called AI Guild, where I invited people and specifically told them to speak about things that didn't work for them, and
Exactly.
if they made it work, how did they make it work. So I specifically asked them to talk about the challenges, because um, a very simple situation, right? Like if I'm working with a data set from healthcare industry, I cannot blindly use any word embedding on that. There are a lot of jargons in that text. There's a lot of field specific words in that text which needs specific word embeddings, right? So how do you get to that point, right? So that is something that is important, and I made sure that I convey that message to the people who are trying to build their career in the field.
Okay, that's super interesting. And it definitely is very cool to have folks and share their failures, because, and or maybe how they have surpassed those failures, and how they have reached a level where they have a successful project. It obviously makes a lot of sense. So finding that gap and then building it up, your brand there, makes a lot of sense. So thanks for that, Aishwarya. Also, a very interesting topic that Harsha has brought up. So would love to take this question.
Sure.
How important is storytelling for data scientists to presenting their work? Can you give a great example of data storytelling? Very interesting.
Yes, I actually can. So again, like tying it back to one of the use cases that I worked on, like one of the projects that I worked on, we need to realize that not everybody is a technical person in an organization. There
True.
are decision makers, there are leadership folks, there are folks who are concentrating on sales, because that's what literally is running the company. So the bottom line for any organization is revenue, right? So that's what they care about. Like they don't care about like, oh, we built this really fancy deep learning model which has like 28 layers. They don't really care about that. What they care about is what's going to help me build my business. And that is where we
Okay.
have to like put down our technology cap and think from a business perspective. So that's where I feel storytelling is really important, because when you are a technology person building something, you have to convey that to stakeholders, you have to convey that to business decision makers, and they have to understand that how is this a sustainable solution. Because when you are building a
Right.
solution and when you're trying to scale it, if you're using cloud services, it's going to cost you, right? It's going to cost the business. There is going to be initial cost of like just setting up the technology, and there's going to be recurring cost of operationalizing the technology. So how viable is that solution for the company? If they spend say $100,000 on creating it, but it's only going to save them say $300 a year, is it even viable to like have that solution? So that's where it's really important to tie what you have built to the business, and it's very important for you to showcase that how is this model going to help in like 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, right? And that's where I feel like storytelling is important
Right.
from a decision maker's perspective. Now the second thing is from a user perspective, right? Like if you are building say an app which is used by like B2C customers, like
Mhm.
customers like you and me, then you need to understand that what is the user needs, right? What is my needs? What is the thing that I want to see on my screen? You might be having a great model, but if you're going to show me results that's not relevant for me, if it's not shown in the manner that's more readable for me, is more comprehensive for me, it's of no use to me, right? So you
Very
need
true.
to understand who's the audience, and how do you rephrase, or like how do you um, make them understand what you're trying to achieve. So that's something which I have worked and in one of the financial use cases that I worked on, that's where I realized that we were blabbering about explainable AI and like things to the decision makers, and they were like, I don't care, like all I want is that
Exactly.
we are able to make decisions in a smart manner. And even till date, subject matter experts are not as convinced to use an automated AI technology, because somewhere
Right.
they still want it to be an assistive technology, right? So they want the results to be presented in a certain manner and not show them that this is the F1 score, this is the metric, this is what we are, trying to predict, or like these are the features that we're working on. They don't understand that. So it's really important to convey the message to the right audience in a right manner.
Okay. Very, very insightful. And thanks for that question, Arsha. I definitely wanted to hear that side about data storytelling, and makes a lot of sense when you say it's not only just about, talking technical terms out there, but there are CXOs who would not be, who would be achieving some other goals for the company. It could be finances, it could be more on the side where they are kind of managing the leadership side, it could be sales. So you need to get everyone on a uniform platform and then talk about data, and that's like the best way to convey your message through very easily and smoothly. So makes a lot of sense, Aishwarya, thanks for that. Okay, we are getting towards the end. Definitely, just a last reminder for those who are attending. I don't want any of you guys to miss the chance to win a annual subscription of 365 Data Science. So feel free to put a hashtag 365 Data Science in the chat, and we will announce the winners very shortly. All right. A quick question for you. In terms of, I know for a fact you do read a lot of books. I know you recommend a lot of books to the data science and AI folks. So wanted to, maybe three or more books that you could actually are your favorite books and can also recommend to our audience today.
Sure. So there's one book which is an evergreen book for me. I can't really remember the number of times I have read it. It's called Ikigai,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, that's an awesome book. So that's the one book I would always recommend.
Right.
And there are a few books which is of course like great, but at times it tends to get outdated because there's like new book which comes up, and the content changes. But
Right.
yeah, the AI Superpowers is another book I would highly recommend. And
Nice.
the third book I would recommend is Bad Blood, because that talks about, how superficial things can get in this space,
Right.
and why is it important for you to, why do I keep talking about like ethical AI systems, or, like why do I talk about the impact of the solutions that we built on the users. So that book
Right.
also gave me a very good perspective on how how people can manipulate, how people can make you perceive
Amazing.
things are happening in a certain way, and how it can really affect people, like human lives, right? So yeah, so those are like the three books I would recommend right now.
Awesome. Ikigai, AI Superpowers, and Bad Blood are the three books, guys. If you, I've shared the link, the Amazon link, and maybe the website link as well in the chat. So if you guys still want to learn more about, more books in data science specifically, feel free to reach out to Aishwarya. She'll definitely have the technical book recommendations as well. So please do so. All right. Before we wrap this up, obviously, I know for a fact we have folks who participated for this, and let's get the winner up. It's a very fancy stuff that we do here. Maybe you are aware about it, or maybe not, Aishwarya, but this is how it is. So we draw, we have 21 participants already here.
Mhm.
Let's do this and see who the winner is. All right. All the best, everyone. Kalpadeep Bhattacharya Bhattacharji. Okay. Congratulations. You win one annual subscription of 365 Data Science. I will reach out to you with the code. All right. This has been super fun, Aishwarya. But just one last question before
Yeah,
we
sure.
wrap this up. Obviously, would love to know if folks want to learn more about you, your journey. Where can they reach out to you if they want to learn more about the mentorship programs?
Mhm.
Because I've had folks who've been a part of your mentorship program and they've done such great things for themselves. I highly recommend for the folks who would, would want to actually get trained by Aishwarya, or maybe, just attend those mentorship sessions. Like, where can they reach out? What's the best approach there, Aishwarya?
I think LinkedIn would be the best way because
Okay,
I have listed down my like Illuminate AI's details there as well. So if you're
that's great.
specifically interested in Illuminate AI and like what that community does, you can go to Illuminate AI's website. So let me just open that up.
Yeah,
And can I share it in the chat? I'm
yeah,
just going
you
to put it here
can.
so you can share it. Yeah, that's Illuminate AI's website. And otherwise, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, fantastic. I think I've shared the same one. No, maybe I've shared your personal one, but I'll quickly share it with the folks here so they can learn more about it. And yeah, that's it. Aishwarya, this was super fun. I know we are kind of we're running short of time, but definitely would love to have you back on the show, maybe a good 2.0 session where we can discuss more about the developments that happen. But you're doing great things for the community, and really helping the community in the best ways possible with all the sessions that you do, with the conference that you've recently hosted. I wanted to obviously ask a little about that as well. So what was the format about the conference? How does it work, and when is the next conference happening?
So the next would be happening in another 6 months. So this is we typically
Nice.
try to do it like two in a year. If you
Amazing.
would see the agenda of the conference, it's not really like focusing on one particular topic. I had
Hmm.
Anna, who was a policy maker, so she was a AI and data governance policy maker. So her
Awesome.
perspective was very different, and like I feel it's very important that from our end we create that awareness, we address the problems that comes with AI and not be blindsided by that, hey, I build AI technology and it's the
Hmm.
best, right? So
Well
as
said.
a data scientist myself, I feel that yes, there are issues and yes, there are ways to address it. So that's why I try to create more awareness of the issues or the ethical issues that could arise because of AI, and what is the way that individuals and organizations can like work on these challenges. So the conference also was was covering all these different aspects. So there was a topic that Nitin spoke about, on how to scale and productionalize AI and machine learning technologies.
Right.
What are the aspects of that? And we had Anirudh, who spoke about, like, how AI technology is being used in space missions, or like space related activities. And we even had like Sanjay, who was talking about quantum, and like how quantum computing would be using machine
Wow.
learning, like how machine learning algorithms can run on quantum machines. So we had like different variety of topics. So yeah, that's again like available on YouTube. So the conference was
Awesome.
recorded, and it's available on YouTube for everybody to watch.
Amazing, great stuff, Aishwarya. Looking forward to the next conference, definitely. And such diverse topics are always, it always makes spice up things in a conference when you are getting, three, four sides to data science, quantum computing, AI. So it's always fun. But looking forward to it. And thank you very much again for your time today, everyone in the audience as well. Thank you very much. It was so much fun. Great questions. Great, insights, Aishwarya. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ravit,
Awesome.
for having me here.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.